And we're live. So, welcome to Friday Night Fights, the last for July. So, even though we're doing Mirror Cup and Jungle Cup is technically encompassed in Mirror Cup, we're going to be starting off with some Jungle Cup battles with our guests for tonight. Caleb, how's it going? One of our awesome battle analysts.
Hey, it's good to be here.
And then we have AJ and Tristan to commentate for tonight as well.
Hey guys.
Hey.
So you are there,
So,
AJ.
Caleb, before you hop into the battles, do you want to walk us through your team at six real briefly?
Yeah, I just want to test out a non-big team and see how it works, especially post-charm. I might, depending on how the battles go, I might switch one of these out for Wigglytuff. But I have solid 3 counters, 2 Vig. I have ways to address Wig and pretty much most of the meta. We'll see how it goes.
You're back on this train, huh?
Yeah, I might have gone like 2 and 3 in a previous non-Vig team, but I also had 3 electric, so I think that was my downfall.
That's true.
Wait, you had how many electrics?
A Alolan, Golem, Lantern, and I think I only used maybe one of them. Yeah, it was kind of for a remote tournament. I was making a team on whim, so not one of my better decisions. But yeah, we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, so off the bat, like the thing about these non-Vigoroth teams, is it really restrains how you play as far as like switching goes when you lose the lead. But then, if you are winning in the lead, then it kind of you're still able to capitalize on that, the same way as without a Vigoroth. I feel.
So it seems like you need winning the lead is a lot more important. But I think you can also somewhat fall back on Fortress as a safe switch to an extent. It's not quite as good, but I think it works.
Let me sub something out real quick.
Oh boy.
He's not sure
he's not sure of his team, you guys. He's already making switches. Is Heracross getting the axe?
Yeah, I haven't really practiced as much. All right, new team.
Wiggles. All right. Any love for Heracross in the chat? See if we can see if anybody's still running Heracross post Charm. It seems like it really just died down a little bit.
I know Mason ran a Heracross post Charm.
Mm-hmm.
And Blandon also, I think, went 5-0 in a local cup running Heracross post Charm. So, it died out in popularity, but it shows you that, there's still some top players that are using it and having success with it.
Yeah, I find Wigglytuff to be pretty close to dead weight for the most part, playing against it. Playing with it too. I just haven't really been impressed with it, and it doesn't seem to have a whole lot of bench pressure like some other mon might have.
I feel like it does have bench pressure to an extent, but...
You think so?
I never felt the bench pressure against me, but that's because I kind of stacked my team against Wigglytuff, where I had a bulky lantern that would win the one shield against Wigglytuff, and then I had Venusaur and I had Venomoth, as well as a Vigoroth. So, personally, I didn't really feel much bench pressure from it, but against some other teams that have less answers, it might have a little more sway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one guy I lost to in my local actually had a Heracross.
So, Caleb, you want to start with some battles, maybe?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's start with Dan the Man 2587.
goes. I'm gonna use that Wigglytuff.
Now, I think we're just basically doing blind threes against him, right?
Yeah, I think I sent
He
him
knows
my
he knows
6,
your
but he
team.
could just
Yeah.
use whatever.
He could use whatever, yeah.
He really wants insider info. He could listen to the stream too.
Yeah. He could know exactly how you are playing.
Mm-hmm.
So the team comp you've got right now seems a little weak to an opposing Vigoroth, huh? I guess you're just hoping to maneuver around it.
Yeah. Hoping to catch wig counter he has on the opening, and then go from there.
Well, let's see if he gets a lantern lead. We have to maneuver around that. Well, it's not necessarily I want to see you lose. I do want to see a Vigoroth team that does okay with a bad lead, basically.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
what do we?
he's busy right now. Okay, let me send.
Okay.
To...
AJD. I'll send him a message.
Look at that that shadow Dragonite though.
I've been doing these quests and I've been getting like the tier 1 evolutions of everything.
I just got my first Snorlax earlier. It's one of the harder battles, I think, from the Team Rocket lineups. And yeah, welcome to everyone in chat. 25 on Twitch, 12 on YouTube, and we even have Pocket Monster Max joining us here as well. No worries.
He actually sent me his pick, so he's got a Noctowl, Vig and Hera.
Did he cut off for you guys as well, or were you able to hear that?
He did cut off a little bit.
So it is Victory Bell, Magnezone, Noctowl,
on
Vigoroth,
the opponent side.
Yep.
Okay.
Alolan Graveler, and Heracross. This is team of 6.
I guess I could set that up on the screen as well for the opponents.
Yeah, while we're jumping into the first battle.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, for those tuning in just now, we're running a non-Vigoroth team that's shown on screen. CalebPeng will be playing his point of view. And then we're going up against a remote rival here with a pretty standard team, I'd say. Some interesting counters. So Wigglytuff versus Noctowl is a favorable matchup for Caleb here. Being able to counter that Noctowl. We're expecting a switch at some point. Those charms are just going to do so much damage. So at some point that Victory Bell comes out, immediate switch to Fortress. Fortress doesn't really have much to lose against Victory Bell. I know AJD is running an interesting strategy, so I'm going to be watchful for these charge moves coming out. So Acid Spray I'm expecting. Maybe Leaf Blade for the bait. We'll see. Acid Spray comes out. No shields. Either way, Fortress is not really going to shield any moves coming out of Victory Bell. At least we get a debuff out of this. And Fortress is now full of energy here. No matter what comes out, Heavy Slam or Earthquake are going to hurt. I'm expecting Noctowl here. Heavy Slam is still going to do quite a decent amount of damage. We're just waiting out that switch clock. So Heracross comes out, and out come those Heavy Slams. Interesting choice there. I suppose he just wanted to save that Noctowl for a little bit later, get a little bit of energy, but those Heavy Slams are still rolling out, and Heracross being so attack-weighted, it's quite glassy, so it really does kind of force those shields on. So out comes Wigglytuff with all that pent-up energy. It doesn't really need to use that Play Rough. He can shield this particular move, whatever it is. Out comes that Mega Horn, and he's got a Play Rough ready to go against that Noctowl. I guess his Ice Beam is going to come out against that Noctowl. So out comes the Ice Beam. Just watching Caleb swipe those bubbles and basically take the match, because at this point, I really don't think he's got anything to do against 3-Mon. And that's GG. Favorable lead, but will be interesting to see how AJD responds in the next match.
It's interesting though because Caleb had a victory bell there in the back. So
Mm-hmm.
if that Wigglytuff had gone down, I think it would have ended up being a little closer than one would expect.
Mm-hmm.
Given like, normally you'd think, oh, he had a whole extra mon. It'd be a blowout, but Victory Bell versus Noctowl isn't so
Yeah.
pretty. Granted, the
Now,
Noctowl is real low health, but
yeah. Now this matchup, the Victory Bell versus Wigglytuff, obviously it forces an immediate switch. Victory Bell versus Victory Bell now. We'll see what our opponent does, whether he decides to Acid Spray, whether he goes Leaf Blade, and we'll see whether Caleb goes for the shield. In this case, out comes the Acid Spray, which is shielded, and that's normally not a good sign just because shielding those Acid Sprays, they don't do a whole lot of damage, and you get the debuff. So we'll see if the opponent does the same thing. Out comes a Sludge Bomb and takes out that Victory Bell, so at least we are up a mon, down a shield. We'll see if Caleb is able to come out on top from here. This is, again, a bad lead coming in. Out comes Vigoroth against this debuff Victory Bell. Not quite able to get to that Leaf Blade, you guys. Razor Leaf is just doing a ton of damage off of that Vigoroth, but he is at a shield advantage with a ton of energy built up. What do you think, Tristan? So far, this is going to be pretty close. I think he came out on top from a unfavorable lead.
yeah, I thought it was interesting the opponent didn't swap, but I guess their other answer in the back is also weak to Victory Ball, and so they were forced to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, if they had a Noctowl or Fortress, like Venomoth, Vespiquen, Beedrill, anything like that in the back, I think Caleb would be in a much worse position.
So that's an interesting switch right there, right before the charge move. Noctowl's going to be able to. Well, I guess he doesn't
Oh, he
decide to
does have a
tank.
Noctowl in the back, though.
Yeah, he does have that Noctowl. He decided to shield the Heavy Slam. It's going to do a decent amount of damage. Suppose he's at a shield advantage, so might as well start using those shields. Sky Attack expected to come out against this Wigglytuff. Caleb uses his last shield of the game against that Sky Attack. And Noctowl is doing a little bit of damage, but Wigglytuff is sort of bulk weighted as opposed to attack. So that Ice Beam is going to do a ton of damage. He's fully expecting a shield to come out unless he's willing to just sacrifice that Noctowl. And Noctowl is on low HP. That Sky Attack is going to go unshielded. You'll be able to see exactly how much damage that Sky Attack does. And it leaves it with about the same HP, but those charms are probably going to be able to shore up the match here. So it's very close, but Wigglytuff does come on top. One mon left, and that is Vigoroth on low HP. But he does have a little bit of energy built up, so it's going to be really, really close whether Fortress is able to take the win, and he does with very little HP. Those bug bites were able to seal the deal. Match goes to Caleb. GG.
That's interesting. I feel like if the opponent had swapped his Victory Bell out for Noctowl, I think he would have been able to. He would have had a better chance of winning that game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think by staying in that Victory Bell mirror, I think he put himself in a worse situation.
Yeah, you really kind of wanted to save that Victory Bell for the
For the Wigglytuff.
Wigglytuff.
Yeah.
But I suppose he elected to go another way.
Because, Noctowl, I think, can basically just farm Victory Bell. So that would have been a pretty favorable position to just farm up the Victory Bell and then unload Sky Attacks into whatever comes out next.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we got the Noctowl versus Noctowl mirror. Obviously, we could see some switches come into play. At this point, we know that the piggybacking has been mostly patched since the previous update. Sky attacks are just going to be spam. It's going to be a bulk war here. Who's able to, get those sky attacks first versus with a charge move priority, basically here. Now, I will say this: some players elect to just allow their Noctowl to go down and without shields. I don't think that'll be the case here. Just because having a Noctowl with that much HP is not really a situation you want to be in just for the cost of a shield. So out comes the opponent's Sky Attack, expecting 2 here since they were at equal energy. Out comes the second Sky Attack, and at this point, Caleb might forego the shield, and he doesn't. Okay, so now we're equal shields, basically equal HP on the Noctowl, with a little bit in favor of AJD. Out comes his second Sky Attack,
Or
and we'll
third, you
see if...
mean?
Oh, third, yeah, you're right. Second unshielded, I guess. And in any case, the second unshielded Sky Attack comes out. We're even shields, but Noctowl does have a little bit of energy. I don't think it's going to be able to get that Sky Attack, and it doesn't. So at this point, Wigglytuff, his Charm, is able to do a little bit of damage on that Noctowl, but it's really got nothing against this Victory Bell. Immediate swap to, or very quick swap over to Vespiquen. Vespiquen comes out with those Bug Bites. They're going to come out fairly quickly. Bug Bites doing a decent amount of damage, and X Scissor is going to do a lot of damage. So expecting Shield here, followed by possibly an Acid Spray. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and with Noctowl out of the way, Caleb's able to make that switch to Vespiquen fairly safely.
Mm-hmm.
Because not much else threatens it that badly with a Noctowl out of the way. Because like even like a Lantern matchup, for example, I mean Vespiquen loses, but it's pretty close.
Yeah. So that Vespiquen went for the X Scissor. I think Power Gem would have done more damage against that Heracross, right?
Yeah, because Power Gem would be hitting for neutral.
Yeah. So he switches out with quite a bit of energy built up, expecting a Mega Horn here to come out. It's going to do a decent amount of damage to this Wigglytuff. So he basically used that Wigglytuff as just an extra shield. Maybe get that, shore up that extra energy, use that X Scissor on the incoming, what was it? Victory Bell? I think it was Victory Bell.
Well, the X Scissor is being used on the Heracross that isn't quite dead yet.
Oh,
and
wow.
now he's spamming a second X Scissor on the Victory Bell. He was able to get just enough energy to do those back to back.
Very nice
and
play.
just barely hang on.
Very
so
nice
that was a good game knowledge of managing your energy and your health.
I don't know if you noticed this, but our opponent's Victory Bell is running an unconventional moveset. He's running obviously Razor Leaf, but Acid Spray paired with Sludge Bomb, which is not the norm. And Caleb predicted that Sludge Bomb out. I don't know if you've played with AJD before with this particular
I have.
Victory Bell. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the reason why I lost one of my remote matches with him, because he went Acid Spray in game 2. In game 3, I was up 2 shields to 0 with a Noctowl matched against his Victory Bell, and then he had a Noctowl in the back and I had a Lantern. My Noctowl takes it out, and then he Razor Squeeze my Lantern before I could even use the shield. So
like, if you use Acid Spray in the first round, then the Sludge Bomb becomes the wild card in the second, and so like those Venusaur, those Noctowls are not going to shield because they're assuming that nothing it has is going to hit it hard. Alpha Phoebe is up next, so you sent him an invite?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool.
Never expected someone to run both Acid Spray and Sludge Bomb, but
I think
that's really taught my lesson.
Yeah, I think it's a very viable strat. Alpha Phoebe is running Fortress, Wigglytuff, Noctowl, Vigoroth, Lantern, Venomoth. So what do you think off the bat, Tristan?
Can you say that one more time, what he's running?
Sure. Fortress,
okay.
Wigglytuff, Noctowl, Vigoroth, Lantern, and Venomoth.
I think right off the bat, this would be a team that would be nice to have Vigoroth for.
Yeah.
Because it's really only a Venomoth that he has for a Vigoroth counter. So Vigoroth would do pretty well here, but obviously Caleb's not running that, so his options are a bit more limited.
So we're seeing that Lantern lead, expecting a pretty quick switch out from that Noctowl. We'll see what he switches into. He goes for the mirror. We've seen this strat a couple times. It's kind of tempting to stay when you're in a mirror. But opponent goes for the Vigoroth. Has got a very good matchup against this Lantern. He really has to resign himself to body slams. Can squeeze a Bulldoze in here for a little bit more damage, but it's normally not worth the risk. So that Thunderbolt goes shielded. Out come those, expecting those body slams. We'll see. Occasionally, like I said, we get those bulldozers every now and then. So body slam comes out, does a fair bit of damage, and they're expecting a spam of body slam, just forcing shields or forcing that Vigoroth to be at really high HP towards the end of this matchup. So out come those water guns are doing a lot of chip damage at this Vigoroth. So unless he gets that second shield out, he's not going to be able to get to that Thunderbolt. He goes for the second shield, hopefully getting that second Thunderbolt, and he does. At this point, if the Vigoroth doesn't shield, he will go down, so it is within knockout range here. Gets the excellent on the Thunderbolt, and as expected, the last shield of the match is out. Vigoroth is able to farm that Lantern just a little bit more, and he's ready to go with those body slams. So out come the body slams. At this point, it's not going to knock out Noctowl. Vigoroth is a favorable matchup to Noctowl, but at this low HP, he's really just resigned to spamming as many body slams as he can get before going down. Sure enough, he's able to get that second body slam on Noctowl with just a sliver of HP. It just goes to show how awesome Vigoroth can be as that mid-game pivot. So Noctowl is able to barely farm it a little bit before it finally goes down. He's got Psychic very close to full charge and a Sky Attack ready to go. So out comes Wigglytuff in response to his Lantern, and not a good matchup at all for this Wigglytuff to be in against Fortress. No shields. Yikes, you guys. I think this is a really, really rough spot for Caleb to be in. You think there's any hope here for Caleb? Maybe he can get those Sky Attacks in?
There's no way, because there's still a Lantern in the back.
That's true.
But I think that's why he swapped in the Noctowl against Vigoroth. Because he knew the Noctowl was a little bit of a liability with Lantern in the back.
Yeah.
So he would prefer to, sacrifice that and preserve the Wigglytuff. But the problem was that Alpha Phoebe also had a Wigglytuff counter in the back.
You're getting some praise in chat for your previous play against that that previous matchup with the two X scissors.
Oh yes,
beautiful play, very well done.
I don't deserve any praise for this last one though.
Well, it's a bad lead, man. Like a bad lead can really screw things up, especially without that.
The moment that he swapped out his Lantern, I was like, I don't have a good answer for this Lantern besides Wigglytuff.
Yeah.
Me off a little bit.
Yep, it's rough. It's a rough spot to be in. Lantern is just can be a powerhouse, especially shields down.
Yeah.
It's
But yeah, your Lantern looks pretty good against him because he has no grass. So his only Lantern answers are going to be like a 2-shield Wigglytuff, the mirror match since he's running Charge Beam, and his Vigoroth. And I guess a 0-shield Fortress as well. But Lantern does seem like a solid pick here.
Alright,
so you're
guys.
opting for the Vespa Queen and the Victory Bell as 2 hard Vigoroth counters. The Victory Bell gives some additional Wigglytuff and Lantern coverage, while the Vespa Queen is going to give you Fortress coverage.
Yeah, this is an unconventional opponent too, with no grass on the opponent's team. So, Lantern versus Venomoth. This is a favorable matchup for Lantern. Those water guns are going to just do so much damage. So is Confusion, and Lantern definitely doesn't want to be taking any Silver Wind, so that's something to keep in mind here. But the aggregate damage from Water Gun is just going to do a ton. So, out comes the Thunderbolt, expecting a shield here, unless the Venomoth is just fodder there. Maybe he wants to forego the shield, and he doesn't. So at this point, this is sort of the decision. If he goes out with the Silver Wind, he wastes a little bit of energy, and he does go out the Silver Wind. Caleb accurately predicts it, and he goes for the shield. So those water guns are just doing a ton of damage. It's not far behind that. That confusion damage isn't far behind. Again, those water guns just chipping away at this lantern. Or at this Venomoth, rather. So Silverwind comes out, and Lantern's barely able to hang on, and the immediate switch to Vigoroth. Interesting play from Alpha Phoebe here. He's able to finish off that Lantern with just one counter, and he's locked in with the Vigoroth at least, but now he's forced to deal with this Victory Bell from our opponent here, or host here, Caleb. So, Vigoroth comes out with those body slams, Victory Bell being glass. He can't really take them very kindly. And out comes that Leaf Blade, which is just going to do a ton of damage against this Vigoroth. And it finishes it off. Not a whole lot of energy on this Victory Bell, not much to play with. It's nice to have a little bit of energy for that parting Acid Spray gift. So immediately comes out that Power Gem. And you guys, with Victory Bell and Vespiquen, it's going to be really an uphill battle against this Noctowl, especially Lantern out of the game so fast. This is going to be really rough. What do you think, Tristan, at this point? It's going to be really...
I think he really needed to line up his Lantern against the Noctowl, and because he wasn't able to do that, I think it's going to end up being a loss. Because Noctowl is just so tanky and has a favorable matchup against both Vespiquen and Victory Bell. And I think that's kind of something that Caleb is sacrificing without Vigoroth, is I feel like Noctowl becomes a safer pick against him. I mean, obviously he has Wigglytuff as a secondary counter, and then the mirror match, but it still feels pretty favorable to run Noctowl against him, especially considering his two main Noctowl counters in Wigglytuff and Lantern. I guess it's not applicable in this matchup, but against other opponents, both of his Noctowl counters are fairly weak to like a Venusaur, or a Victory Bell, or a Beedrill. So lucky for him in this matchup, his opponent's not able to capitalize on that, but in other matchups that could be a bit of a challenge.
Philanders just subscribed via Twitch Prime. Thank you so much for the sub. If you guys haven't gone on through Twitch Prime, I know a lot of you might have an Amazon Prime subscription. You can associate your Twitch account with it and get a free or no additional cost
and
sub.
Flanders is already taking advantage of the Camerupt emote.
Very nice.
So that's good to see.
Camerupt is definitely one of our more popular emotes. I like the GG Haunter, and I'm relegated to use the Raichu one a lot. Kind of as a snub to me. But yeah, all of our emotes are pretty fun. I like them a lot.
Yeah, Caleb, so talk us through your team selection here and what you're thinking about based on the past two matches.
Yeah, I think I went with Wigglytuff, Lantern, Noctowl. The main thing is he doesn't have the best answer for Lantern, and he's been bringing a match, so I figured that'd be good. And then I had a feeling he wasn't going to bring Venomoth again after leading Venomoth last time, and so pretty good right here because I'm able to catch his Vigoroth with my Wigglytuff.
Right, and this is really your only Wigglytuff or your only Vigoroth answer in this trio.
Yes. Yeah. So I was either planning on doing some soft counters or like combined efforts to take out Vigoroth or win the lead matchup. I think that would be good too.
Oh man, this is a tough one.
Oof.
So you burn your second shield in order to maintain switch advantage. Luckily, you are able to unload a Play Rough or Ice Beam on the next mon coming in,
but you have to
kind of
guess.
just have to guess.
Yeah.
And he brings in Fortress, so it doesn't really matter either way, because of the fact that it resists everything Wigglytuff can throw at it. Luckily, you do have the Noctowl now, which should be able to do a good amount of damage with just fast moves. But it's not going to like taking some heavy slams, especially considering Fortress could double shield itself to just unload heavy slams if it wanted.
Yeah, so this is again a rough spot. At least Wigglytuff was able to do its job, and it wasn't matched up unfavorably against some of the other matchups. So out comes the Lantern in response to this Fortress. If
And this
Fortress
is
gets to that Earthquake, man, it's gonna just wreck this
yeah,
Lantern.
and that's the risk of Lantern against Fortress and the no shield is that if Fortress can get to that Earthquake, it's not too pretty.
Yeah, but at least now Noctowl can finish farming up that fortress since Earthquake is going to use up all its energy. So we're going to have to wait and see what he has there in the back. He goes for the switch, and it's Noctowl. Not looking good, you guys. Even with this amount of energy, taking down a full HP Noctowl is going to be really, really rough.
Yeah, I thought he had something else in the back because he kept shielding the the Noctowl moves.
Yeah.
Were you expecting like Venomoth in the back?
Yeah, I thought it was probably Venomoth because that's why I switched to Lantern because I was like, he must be worried about this Noctowl for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, the converse play is the fact that he just wanted to, use up shields and because he had them, and take out your Noctowl. Because in retrospect, you would have been better leaving the Noctowl in, doing as much damage as you could, and then trying to finish off the fortress with your Lantern, and then Lantern has a pretty favorable matchup against Noctowl. But I mean, I definitely see where you were coming from, though, where if he's shielding the fortress that much, then maybe he does have a Venomoth in the back. And sometimes you do have to kind of make those educated guesses, because if you call it correctly, it pays off quite well. But unfortunately, in cases like this where you kind of make that educated guess incorrectly, it comes back to hurt you.
Mm-hmm. So we're playing against Best in West.
Oh, 1 second. He's battling. Or sorry, not HED. J Devon. Hit up Wrangler.
Okay. So it sounds like you have a good handle. I'm gonna back off from that channel. Sounds like you're managing them fine.
Yeah, this is one of my hesitations of why I never ran a Novig lineup in my actual local cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think kind of based on that last match, you had some problem dealing with the mirror match, opposing Lantern and Noctowl. You were kind of struggling to get enough coverage on your team to deal with all three of those threats. And obviously that's a place that Vigoroth would help with, because it beats two of those and has the mirror match.
Do you happen to know what his team comp is?
I just sent it over to Quartz. It
perfect.
is Venomoth, Noctowl, Venusaur, Lantern, Vigoroth, and Fortress. For anyone joining just now, too, the hair cross on the screen is actually a Wigglytuff for my team.
Oh, right. Yep. That was a swap. Last minute swap.
Yes, last minute.
Okay, so this is a bit more traditional. This team. It's pretty much the meta right here. What we're up against, Venusaur is the staple grass type in this meta. We have Noctowl and Vigoroth, which is obviously really popular. Lantern being the most popular electric. And then you can't really go wrong with Fortress, and Venomoth is just a really good counter.
Yeah,
in case Vigoroth switches in.
Yeah, Venomoth works as a Vigoroth counter that also beats Wigglytuff, as well as the grass types, and Beedrill. And then Fortress has a lot of fairly even matchups across the board, and then serves as a wall to the grass types. Beats Wigglytuff and tends to beat most of the bugs.
Mm-hmm. I'm basically running that team minus Noctowl. Well, we're both running the same team.
Yeah.
Noctowl for Vespiquen.
Yeah, because we opted for some additional Vigoroth coverage, which I've been liking, having the flexibility of being able to run Venusaur or Venomoth or Vespiquen or double up as your Vigoroth answers.
So we're up against the Lantern versus Fortress matchup. Lantern is able to sort of quote-unquote spam those Thunderbolts. They're not really spammy because those Water Gun is doing most of the heavy lifting. However, it does have to watch out for those Earthquakes from Fortress. So Heavy Slam is expected to come out unless he wasn't paying attention. And so sure enough, those Heavy Slams come out. Immediate switch over to Vigoroth, which has a decent matchup against this Noctowl. Not the worst spot to be in, just because we have a little bit of energy coming into this matchup. That Body Slam is very, very close to being within knockout range of this Noctowl. So out comes a Sky Attack at the expense of a Shield. Might be able to squeeze in a second Sky Attack, but we'll see. Those Body Slams come out fairly quickly. Immediate second Sky Attack, so this is a nice play here. It does kind of force Vigoroth's hand. If it doesn't shield, it goes to pretty low HP. Sure enough, when it doesn't shield, he doesn't want to be at a shield advantage. So at this point, Noctowl really isn't able to survive. Doesn't really make sense to shield here. Sure enough, Caleb forgoes a shield, sacrifices that Noctowl, and he can choose. Out goes the Vespiquen. It's got a very good matchup against this Vigoroth. It can certainly tank anything that comes out of this. I'm expecting those body slams, and is able to shore up this match with just those last few bug bites and get that X-Scissor pretty much charged up, ready to go against. We'll see what comes out. We still have that Fortress lurking in the back from our opponent. Best in West brings out his Fortress. Power Gem comes out in response, and we'll see if Best in West decides to shield or if he predicts a bait coming from Caleb. And he gets the Power Gem in. This is I think this is going to be a really deciding point in the match, because getting that Power Gem in is going to be a huge difference over those X-Scissors. He's going to be able to finish up this Fortress with just those bug bites, get a decent amount of energy coming into the last matchup, which is Venusaur. Again, best we can. Very good matchup against Venusaur. It is on low HP, but it's just able to give those X-Scissor as parting gifts before it goes down. And he forces the last shield of the match. Hearing a phone there in the background.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Don't worry, Caleb. I muted him for a second, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so out comes that last X-Scissor before expecting a Sludge Bomb, which is going to be able to finish out that Vespiquen. So,
But luckily, the Lantern had a Thunderbolt ready to go, which looks like it's going to finish off the Venusaur. So that was a good prep by Caleb to wait till you get a full charge and then swap out.
Yeah, you don't want to be caught on the receiving end of a Frenzy Plant when you're running Lantern. GG. Very, very nice. Very nicely played.
Okay, you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Just give me like 1 minute. Hopefully it's something serious.
Okay. So let's
real quick.
Sure, let's just talk about that matchup real quick. I think the really interesting play was switching out his Lantern versus the Fortress. He didn't want to risk getting caught with those Earthquake or Heavy Slam baits.
Yeah. Because that Lantern versus Fortress matchup is Lantern tends to win, but it's not one you love to be in as a Lantern. Because if you shield a Heavy Slam, that feels real bad, because Heavy Slam is double resistant and does almost no damage.
Yeah.
But if you let an Earthquake through, you lose the match.
Right.
And so, if you shield the first move, which is a Heavy Slam, and then they get an Earthquake in at the end, it ends up being a really like I think it ends up being a toss up and kind of IV dependent. So while Lantern is favored there, it's like not your favorite matchup. So yeah, it was a pretty good choice to swap to the Noctowl, although a risky one.
Yeah.
Because if Best and West had a Lantern in the back, you're basically throwing away the match at that point because Lantern can farm Noctowl pretty hard. And that's something that I've done a lot in tournaments is if I'm able to catch a Noctowl switch in with my Lantern, I'll farm it real aggressively to the point that my Lantern's in the red, but I have like a full Thunderbolt, if not a full Hydro Pump, ready to unload on whatever comes out next.
Same.
And that aggressive farming can be pretty advantageous too, because usually what's coming in next is a grass type. And so having your Lantern at low HP means that they can't farm you very much in return. They're maybe getting a couple Vine Whips or a couple Razor Leafs, and that's it. So yeah, Caleb was pretty fortunate there was no Lantern. Because there was no Lantern, he was able to turn that into a very positive play and win the match. But if there had been a Lantern, I think that would have been the turning point that would have likely lost him the match.
D-Master Lance is echoing the same thoughts. He was saying very risky switch. If he had Lantern, it's over. So some agreement with your assessment in the chat. But I guess he went for the risky play. You have to go for some risks if you're not running Vigoroth in your 6. You have to have some predictive power and actively analyze the decisions that your opponent is making and be like, okay, well, he shielded this, so he probably doesn't have this in the background. He led Fortress, so it's a toss up what they end up.
I mean, even with Vigoroth in your team, some of those risky plays can definitely make the difference. Obviously, it's high risk, high reward. So if you get it wrong, you're pretty screwed. But if you do make some of those risky plays and they pay off, that's how you can tip the tide in your favor.
So what do you guys think in chat? Are you running any non-Vigoroth teams? If so, we'd like to hear about them. I think there haven't really been any very convincing lineups for me just yet. Obviously, if you're a skilled player, you can sort of shore that up a little bit, but it's difficult. It's difficult to play around, given that Vigoroth is just so appealing to bring in your 3, Have you seen any recently, any teams without Vigoroth that have convinced you?
Me? I mean, this is only like the second team without Vigoroth that I've really seen that looked remotely decent. The other one was the one that was a GBOF Church posted for us to team review a couple weeks ago. But yeah, basically just Church's team and Caleb's team are so far the only non-Vigoroth teams that I've seen that are well built. Because most of the other people not running Vigoroth are people that don't understand the meta too well and or don't have a ton of resources, and so are just kind of piecemealing whatever they have available. So that's kind of what you see, in my opinion, with non-Vigoroth teams, is it's two ends of the spectrum. It's either high-level play who's trying to do something a little off meta, or it's people that either don't have the resources or really have a good idea of what they're doing. So for that reason, I haven't really seen many good Vigoroth or non-Vigoroth teams.
Right.
So in the meantime, while waiting for Caleb to come back, do you want to send me a battle, Tristan? I can do some. I'm the best at doing side shows, basically, filling in the the quiet time.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sending you, or is AJ?
I can send to you, Tristan, and then AJ can commentate.
Send it my way.
Sounds good.
We see Tristan caught a Golbat recently. Wonder if it's a shadow.
It was a shadow. It was my first shadow Pokemon.
Really?
Yeah. And then I still don't know what happened. I did a second one, and I had like the 5 balls, and for some reason it like glitched out and fled after I threw 1 ball.
Wow.
It was weird. But and Quartz, you're inviting me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I've
I'll
already
just
locked in.
wait for the. Okay, sounds good. I am going to take my headphones off for a minute so I don't hear what's going on.
All right. I wasn't able to see what 3 you locked in, but I know more or less the core that Tristan really likes to run. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings.
And Chief is asking a very good question. AJ, do you battle as well? I know you're super involved and knowledgeable. Just used to commentating instead of battling.
Chief
Hey,
Buddington.
Quartz, what's your team, by the way?
Random sixes, random threes.
All right, fine,
Yeah.
whatever.
Tristan, you're not ready for what he brings. He was bringing the weirdest teams to me the other day.
Oh boy, here we
Yeah,
go.
you're not ready. I mean, you might win, but it's just you're not ready.
Let's see some tackle, electrode, and giraffe rig, maybe.
Yeah. All right, so Sceptile versus Vespiquen. This is really not a matchup that Sceptile wants to be in. Those bug bites are going to do a ton of damage. Sceptile is very glassy, and he does rely on getting those aerial aces out, but it's really an uphill battle. So out comes Magneton against Vespiquen. Magneton has got nothing on this Vigoroth. Magnet Bomb is going to do a decent amount of damage, but at the expense of a shield, Vigoroth comes out on top. Quite nicely, and he really can just shore up this match just by using counter for damage. So out comes that second Magnet Bomb. We'll see if Tristan goes for the shield. And sure enough, he forgoes the shield. He's got a ton of energy. He's going to be able to finish off this Magneton before the last Magnet Bomb. So out comes Sceptile. He's got a decent matchup against Vigoroth. Remember, we are at a shield advantage here. No longer. Now the Leaf Blades are able to roll out. Sceptile has a decent matchup with Vigoroth, but this Vigoroth has a ton of energy built up. Those body slams are just going to come out like crazy. And he's going to be forced to shield here, so I guess he shields. Out comes that body slam. We're expecting another body slam to come out very, very soon. We'll see if he beats it to the Leaf Blade, and he doesn't. Or Tristan beats him to the Leaf Blade. And out comes that last body slam. Shields down. Sceptile goes out. And Vespiquen doesn't really have much to farm here. Vespiquen being the last Mon Quartz has available against his incoming Vespiquen. So here, Quartz, with shields down, it's going to be rough for you because Power Gem just does a ton of damage, as you saw. It pretty much one-shots. That's GG for Tristan. Chief Buddington, you were asking me about do I battle as well? Yeah, I battle. We tried me battling on stream the other day, and it was just it was a dumpster fire, to be honest. I started lagging out. I was getting one fast move every other turn or so, if I was lucky. I do a lot of. I was a very early participant in the remote tournaments for Ghost Stadium, and I'm kind of taking a little bit of a break in favor for content. Occasionally, I'll drop into local tournaments wherever I travel. I travel a lot for work, so I'm able to drop into local tournaments every now and then. But as of recent, the schedule hasn't really lined up. So, looks like Tristan has to go for
back to
dinner, but Caleb is here, so
Welcome
that's
back.
perfect timing.
I could finish out the next two with Best and West if fine, or he might be busy. Do you want to battle course?
Oh, is he busy? I can battle you first.
Or I could battle you well. Want to go from my phone or your phone? Oh, you're on my phone.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna watch from your point of view.
So we're up against Quartz. Caleb, I will warn you, you're not ready for this.
Hey, what are you talking about? I'm gonna play meta.
His teams are about.
I just go blind 3.
He's going blind, I think.
Blind 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's.
I've locked him.
I'm just giving Quartz a hard time because he's running the weirdest team comps you could imagine.
Let's
Hey,
live
man.
with that.
Oh, it didn't go through.
Actually
It just dropped.
dropped. No problem, I'll resend.
Yeah. Yeah, so, Chief Buddington, like, I enjoy battles. I do a lot of scrims with plenty of people. It's the only way to stay knowledgeable. Otherwise, I'd just be guessing about who wins against what. But yeah, I've favored more doing content and getting better at commentating. Now having to learn the matchups or the terminology in Spanish, so I can do that a little bit better. So this has been fun. I'm enjoying this, and there's a lot of talent out there to commentate. There's a lot of really talented trainers. So Caleb being one of those. It's a rough opponent to go up against.
You're 1-0 against me though.
Oops. AJ, can we? I'm not AJ. Caleb, can we step out? I think I locked in the wrong team.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
Not meta at all.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you're not prepared for this. You are
not.
You're not ready for this. I've never seen that matchup actually. Frost Glass versus Lantern. I imagine Lantern has the upper hand with those water gun.
I think there has been a cup where they are together, because I remember, having to try and sneak out a shadow ball on it. Toilet.
Be like regionals.
Tempest.
Electric and ice types. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chief Badin is asking about how the Spanish videos have been doing. So we did make a few clips from our battles with Spanish commentary, and they've been good. I think we've drawn in a new crowd of people who are discovering us for the first time.
Yeah. I think our goal with the Spanish is to sort of bridge the gap more with that community, because some of them don't feel quite confident in English, and having a little bit more content in Spanish kind of shows that little bit of that common ground, so they'd be more willing to engage with the community, and they find that their English isn't actually so bad, and they can engage more than they thought. So we got the mirror match, Lantern versus Lantern. Not really what I was expecting from Quartz, just because he loves running such weird things. So this is just a race to the Thunderbolt. Who gets the charge move priority? Who foregoes the shield? There's a lot of things that could happen here. Quartz goes for the shield. We'll see if Caleb responds with a second shield. Probably not. Lantern can take a Thunderbolt just fine. We'll see if Quartz goes for the second shield. Not expecting it, but you never know. With our beloved host, he does some weird plays every now and then. So he goes for the double shield. Now we're at a shield advantage on Caleb's point of view. Not expecting a shield here again. Oh, well, he goes for the double shield. So here we go. This is uncharted territory. No shields down. Both shields down. Lantern versus Lantern matchup. This is a race to the Thunderbolt, you guys. Who's going to get it first? He goes for the switch to the Fortress. And now we're a Fortress against Vespiquen. Now, Power Gem is going to do a ton of damage during this to this Fortress, but Fortress also does a significant amount of damage against this with Heavy Slam. So Heavy Slams will come out quicker. Power Gem overall will do more damage. So we'll see who gets this matchup. Not quite familiar. Shields down. I want to say that Fortress has the upper hand here, just getting to those Heavy Slams faster. And it does look like he's going to be able to finish off this Vespiquen with a Heavy Slam. But X Scissor will do a little bit of damage here. It is resisted thanks to its seal typing. Expecting a Heavy Slam to come out, finish that Vespiquen. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens here. Both Lanterns are at a lot of energy coming in here. Noctowl can finish up the Fortress. Lantern can finish up the Fortress. I think if Lantern finishes it up, If he comes out with that enemy lantern, at least he's got the Thunderbolt advantage. So out comes Vigoroth. Wow. Okay, so this is looking a little bit rough here because that Vigoroth was able to come out. And he's got a little bit of energy against this Noctowl. He goes for the switch to Lantern, and Lantern is going to be just nuking this Noctowl with its Thunderbolt. Sky Attack is going to do a decent amount of damage, but Psychic will go for the kill. Psychic comes out, will finish up this Lantern, and it's going to be pretty close because Vigoroth does have some energy going in here. He's going to finish up this Noctowl and spam Body Slam against the Lantern coming in. Out comes the Body Slam, and I think this is knockout range, if not very, 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 very close. This is a very down-to-the-wire battle here, you guys. And the Lantern goes down. GG, match goes to Quartz. That was like a lot of roller coaster ride, huh?
That was so close. Somehow,
Yeah.
somehow the second Thunderbolt, you hit it way before I even had the energy for Thunderbolt. That was,
Yeah, so I overcharged a little bit on the first
on
time.
the first
round.
time. Wow.
Just I think you still had CMP because I locked in first, but
Mhm.
off a little bit.
I think it was like maybe 2 water guns away, so I'm not sure. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
did
I think you still had a slight lead, but
Did you manage to get a invite from someone yet?
I could go. I think let me hit up with Wrangler because I know he's been waiting.
Okay.
Thanks for the love, you guys. This has been a journey for all of us. We're improving every day, and we struggle with some technical issues. To be honest with you guys, this game is not very stream friendly. I think Quartz would agree with that.
Yeah, we have to jump through a lot of hoops.
But coming out with a product that you guys like is very, very rewarding for us, and we definitely learn a lot as we go. I've gotten better at battling just from watching these plays, kind of working on like storing those matchups. Sometimes like I'll forget what the other guy's team is, so I write it down, and it sort of helps because when you're streaming, sometimes you gotta work on your memory bank versus being able to write things down is not as much of an option. Do we know Wrangler's team?
Yes. So we have Vigoroth, Noctowl, Fortress, Venusaur, Venomoth. So almost the exact same as Best in West, except he chose to go for the Magneton as the electric type instead of Lantern.
Oh, weird. So Wrangler is a really top tier player. He's got some interesting tricks up his sleeve, so I wouldn't totally underestimate that pick of Magneton. And I suspect he is designing this team to bait out your Lantern. That's my guess here, because Lantern has a very favorable... And not to say that you don't want to run Lantern against this team, but we might be seeing like Vigoroth, Venusaur combos. We'll see. We'll see if he decides to lead a Lantern counter with Venusaur. That would not be great if we end up leading Lantern like we're seeing in Caleb's 3. But either way, this is an interesting team. I haven't really seen a Magneton in a while. Have you, Caleb?
Yeah, the guy that beat me in the cup also had a Magneton. He had a Magneton
Really?
Hera, yeah.
Interesting.
It was he had double legacy too, which is
Look at AJ underestimating the Magneton. No love for Magneton.
Oh, please. I love Magneton. It's easily top 3, if not top 1 favorite PvP mon for me to use. But, I also understand its limits. Lantern is just really good here, so. And
So-
not having a good matchup against Vigoroth kind of blows.
Yeah.
Doesn't really win any shield situation, so.
So Yedislim is saying that they've got success with Vespiquen, Lantern, Vigoroth trio, but have some problems with Beedrill. we haven't been seeing a lot of Beedrill play, but I've had trouble with Beedrill in a tournament as well. What do you
I
think?
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Well, like Beedrill just does well against those three. I mean, I'd have
yeah.
to see what other 6 you have and
To
see.
shore up.
I alternate a lot of Lantern and Vespiquen in the lead. I alternate Vespiquen with like a Venomoth or another good Vigoroth counter, or even Fortress sometimes. So there's definitely a lot of ways to play around.
So this is interesting. We
Beedrill.
had the Wrangler switch first into the Magneton, and then Caleb went straight for Victory Bell.
Yeah, so Victory Bell has a slightly worse matchup against Magneton because those Magnet Bombs are going to do a ton of damage. So as you guys see, it did a lot of damage, and those Razor Leafs are resisted by Magneton. But because Magneton is so glassy, it's doing a lot of damage. So we pretty much have that Leaf Blade ready to go. And, man, that's a bummer because Noctowl comes out and really shores up that matchup well. Oh, he shields. Wow.
I mean, it was so close to that Sludge Bomb, right? You can't really fault him. You can see it, Caleb was spamming that Sludge Bomb before deciding to switch.
Yep. Yeah, man. That was very interesting. Not, if he had not shielded that, I know Noctowl can definitely tank it, but it's one of those situations. So, Noctowl against Venusaur. This is a favorable matchup. Remember, you guys, this Noctowl definitely doesn't want to be taking any sludge bombs for sure. It does do a lot of damage, but it gets to the sky attack pretty quickly. So that is definitely able to do a ton of damage to this very, very glassy Venusaur, and he takes it out. Out comes enemy Noctowl, shields down, 2 versus 1, and a Lantern in the back. This is pretty much game, set, match for Caleb. There's really no way that this Noctowl is going to recover unless it suddenly becomes like a shadow Pokemon and boosts its attack like 3 stages. Yeah. This is rough. As the Noctowl user, he might be able to finish off your Noctowl, and he doesn't. The Sky Attack comes out first, and that is GG.
So even if they had the extra shield, the outcome might not have changed too much here, huh?
No, it wouldn't have. Well, no, it wouldn't have, because that Lantern in the back. Yeah, that was equal shields Lantern. You're not coming back from that in a Noctowl matchup unless there's some like severe energy and HP disadvantages.
So I think Caleb will probably be doing a few more with Wrangler, but Gotham is here in chat saying that he can do some battles with Caleb as well. So
awesome.
We'll have you lined up, and we see your team comp, and
you can have that team comp ready to go too. It looks like a couple people are running the same team.
It's a very meta team comp here.
Hey, Gotham, what are you thinking about Wigglytuff? I'd like to hear your comments on it. For me, in my experience, it's kind of been a bit of.
It seems we have dropped from TeamViewer with AJ with Caleb there.
Okay,
so surprisingly, we didn't drop from him when he was making his phone call earlier. But then in mid battle.
Oh yeah, does it work for him?
Oh, I see. So
be able to reconnect, or
we'll have to. We might have to wait for you to go back to the app. So, not sure if you want to finish this battle and then reconnect, or if you want to just hop out.
Yeah. So, Gotham, I'd like to hear read your thoughts on Wigglytuff for sure. So he says it's okay, but there are complications with Wigglytuff being Fort and Lantern because they are FA heavy? What is FA heavy?
Fast attack.
Fast attack. Got it. Fast attack.
Learn your terms, AJ. Learn your PvP terms.
How dare I? How dare I even? I'll hang my head in shame for not knowing FA.
And we're back with him.
Wigglytuff is interesting. You definitely want to have coverage for it, but I haven't been like so impressed with it, and I did power one up and use it pretty much as soon as it was released, but as Charm was released, but
Yep, we're good. We're good,
Yeah.
Caleb. Thanks for doing that. We're back.
it's definitely the kind of mod that you could punish teams if they're not prepared for it, but most teams have responses to it with Fortress and any of the poison types, Venusaur. They're all fairly popular picks. So LECS Master used Wigglytuff in almost every match in South America to get number 2 in an 8-round tourney. Well, that's very impressive. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying Wigglytuff is a bad choice. It's been rough for me in my experience, and I haven't been that impressed going up against it. But so let's see. Wrangler comes out with the Magneton against Noctowl Immediate Switch. This is not a good matchup for the Noctowl. Out comes Venusaur in response to this Victory Bell. So I suppose he doesn't have a Noctowl in the back. If he did, probably would bring that instead. So out comes the Sludge Bomb, able to accurately predict that Sludge Bomb. In response, out comes our own Sludge Bomb. No baits here yet. We'll see if Wrangler expects the bait. And getting a little bit of lag, and he sure does. He goes for the shield, and we're expecting another Sludge Bomb here very shortly, unless he goes for the bait with a Frenzy Plant. And out comes a Sludge Bomb, takes out the Victory Bell. Now this Venusaur is something to maneuver around because Noctowl is a hard counter. But that Lantern, we want to conserve it in the back, so we don't want to overextend this Noctowl too much. And whether he goes for the third Sludge Bomb first against this Noctowl, and he does, it's going to do a decent amount of damage against this Noctowl. So it's really not able to farm this matchup too much in the Noctowl versus Venusaur. He was just able to get that in time. I suspect he was very, very close to that Sludge Bomb. And so we'll see. We'll see what he brings out. Out comes the Magneton. Immediate switch to Lantern. Interesting. Goes for the switch to Vigoroth. Now this Lantern has a bit of energy built up. Out comes those Thunderbolts. It's going to do a ton of damage against the Vigoroth. Hopefully shoring up that match later down the road. And he does go for the shield. Expecting a body slam here, or if the riskier play would be bulldoze. So out comes the body slam. It's able to spam those body slams against Lantern. And it's going to be really rough if he can get the Thunderbolt off before the third body slam. He'd be able to win this match. But Noctowl does have a ton of energy built up, so is able to spam those Sky attacks immediately to this Vigoroth. That being said, that Magneton is in the back. It's going to be very, very rough for this Noctowl. But we do have that shield waiting to go. So Sky Attack doesn't do a whole lot of damage against Magneton. Immediate shield against the expected discharge. Both discharge and Magnet Bomb do have require this equal amount of energy, and that Sky Attack isn't going to do much. So we'll see if Wrangler goes for the shield. Suspect he will. It's a safer pick here, and he doesn't, so that was risky. A Psychic would have been very, very close. Oh, he doesn't have shields left. That's right. So he doesn't have shields left, but that discharge comes out sooner, so it really didn't matter. By the way, discharge finishes up that Noctowl, and it's GG.
Was there any way the Sky Attack could have came out first? Was the question there?
Huh.
Undertapped slightly, maybe. Yeah, I think I might have overtapped it a little bit.
You overtapped?
It's possible.
Yeah. You know, he might have just undertapped that discharge, so
Yeah.
and the discharge comes out faster, I think. So it's one of those things. I'm not as good as like King is really good at counting the fast moves and knows exactly like how many. So that's like my next goal in PvP is to really get good at counting the exact fast moves required to get to a specific charge move. But it's a lot of knowledge to keep in one's head, especially when you're saying things out loud. Are you pretty good with that, Caleb? Counting exact fast
I
moves?
didn't used to, but I think Jungle Club has really helped me practice that. Just because, especially with Vigoroth, I think like that's an easy one to like learn how to like count and like double body slam and piggyback and everything.
Sure.
I know piggybacking isn't as conventional as it used to be, but yeah, I think it's some respects to that.
ProTune Pav saying it's the first time in the stream. Welcome. We welcome newbies. We do a lot of streams to help for team building and all kinds of stuff. So this is the place for you if you're seeking knowledge, all kinds of strats. We're all learning here. So there's a lot of very, very skilled players out here. So that Sludge Bomb gets shielded by this Venusaur. Now we're equal shields. Venusaur has the upper hand here. It is able to get to those Sludge Bombs faster since the Vine Whips have better energy gain than Razor Leaf. Finishes up that Victory Bell from Caleb. And again, this is basically a repeat of the previous match. We've had the same lead 3 times in a row now. So I guess Wrangler is expecting you to just go with the same plays, or he's just stress testing these threes. So Sludge Bomb comes out. Noctowl is able to tank it. Doesn't really want to spend that last shield against the Venusaur. And again, this is an exact repeat of the previous match. Skytech ready to go. I think the previous time he had a Psychic ready, so a little bit less energy than before. So out comes Magneton, and this is interesting. Not going for the immediate switch, decided to farm a little bit. Magneton has a ton of energy built up there, and Lantern comes out. Much faster switch to Vigoroth here. So we're expecting a slightly better matchup for Vigoroth in this case. So yes, a ProTune Pav, that is a double Legacy Magneton. Thundershock Discharge is one of my favorite sets, actually. So Bulldoze comes out, and it just nukes this Lantern. That was a risky play because it takes a lot more energy, but it definitely shored up that matchup even better, and predicted that Caleb wasn't going to go for the shield. So out comes the Sky Attack. Now he's relegated to finish up this Vigoroth, and he's basically forced to shield. That Body Slam's going to finish off this Noctowl, and Magneton has the discharge ready to go. So even if we're able to finish up this Vigoroth, which we will, Magneton just is going to obliterate this Noctowl, even after tanking the Sky Attack. So that's the one thing Magneton has going for it, is it's able to double resist Sky Attacks, and really anything that it doesn't double resist, especially if it's like, for example, Razor Leaf, it does resist it, but it takes a ton of damage because it's so damn glassy. And Magneton is interesting. I think it's got a better grass matchup. You have a worse matchup against the most popular electric in Lantern. You have decent matchup with the Alolan Rocks. And then you do rely more on shields to take out the flying types. So.
All right. So, are you still able to do a few more, Caleb?
I'm gonna battle Alf.
Was it Elf? Okay, because Gotham was saying that he can send you a battle as well.
Hey, yeah. They just messaged me beforehand, but I could battle Gotham.
Sounds good. Perfect. Yeah. So whenever you have, whoever you have lined up, man. And I'm surprised, AJ, that you haven't called Caleb out on missing those bubbles.
Oh, you missed bubbles? I might have been distracted.
So the one where he was sky attacking the Vigoroth, just, short of killing it. I don't know if that one extra bubble would have killed it, but you allowed him to fire one more body slam there. I don't know how big of a difference that made.
Oh, yeah. That would have been a pretty big I mean, but I think even a Psychic, that Magneton probably would have been able to tank the Psychic and or 2 Sky Attacks, as you saw, and the discharge came out and would have been able to finish up the Noctowl. Do you agree with that, Caleb?
I don't. He was much better about, he was much quicker on the switches in the third game there, so I don't think it would have made a big difference.
Yeah.
I actually struggle a lot with double Legacy Magneton in this cup, just because energy lead, it does really well against Lantern as well, too.
Yeah, but you just don't want to be caught up against it with
Big or something.
equal energy. I love it, man. I held on to Magneton for so long for jungle because I was thinking, man, like there's no ground types. All of the ground, like there's very few, like there's no mud bombs basically in this meta. You know, that really helps Magneton a lot, and nothing totally walls its moves. So I was thinking this is really the cup for it. But Lantern is just so good. It's just so good. And it's really hard to forego that. Yeah. And again, you know, like the other aspect is being mentioned in chat. Korriban is saying that your team is definitely weak to Magneton because of not having Vigoroth. You're sort of forced to hopefully be matched up against it with your Lantern. So, SkyTech. Hold on 1 second, Quartz.
Has AJ left us? Well, I guess I'll have to try and commentate. So, Noctowl, mirror match. Looks like Caleb is still missing a few. Still have a few of the bubbles there.
Try and get some extra energy, you know.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
back. Sorry about that.
Welcome
yeah,
back.
the light went out. But
Light went out.
it's good. It's
Okay,
good now. It's
okay.
good. All right, so let's see. The SkyTech is coming out against Shielded Noctowl. So we're still in that mirror match from the lead. Nobody's decided to switch out yet. We'll see if Caleb goes for the shield. He forgoes the shield, tanks the Sky Attack. Now it's just a race to who can get to that Sky Attack first. Sometimes players get crafty here. They switch out second, but Alfindal decided to just get to that Sky Attack first, and he's able to either force a shield or take the lead, and so we have switch advantage here. Noctowl is able to take a little bit of damage on that Wigglytuff, but really it's not able to get to that last Sky Attack before as a parting gift. So out comes Vigoroth against Wigglytuff, so he must not have really good counters to Wigglytuff in his 3. So this is a good situation to be in. Kind of attempted to use that last shield, that he might have done the same. Out comes Fortress in the response to Vigoroth. Now Fortress can tank Vigoroth's charge moves a lot better, but it doesn't do well taking those counters as much. So this is an interesting play. We'll see how Caleb pulls out of this one. Heavy Slam is going to do a decent amount of neutral damage. It's within knockout range of this Vigoroth. Out comes the Vigoroth, and in comes the Lantern, just going for those water guns. Now, at this point, Lantern, if it gets a Thunderbolt, it takes out Fortress, and it does. Had Caleb been able to get to that Earthquake, it would have absolutely nuked Lantern. So this is a very well calculated move by Alfindale against our opponent host, Caleb. So out comes Wigglytuff. He's got that play rough pretty much ready to go. He's going to do a ton of damage against this Lantern. Almost within killing range, but that last charm is just going to knock it out. And we have Vigoroth there in the back with not a whole lot of energy, but that body slam is going to be very, very close. This match is going to be down to the wire. I'm not exactly sure how much energy Vigoroth had, but it was just able to take it out with that last counter. GG. Match goes to Alf. Very interesting.
Yeah, I figured he probably had a Lantern in the back. Else he probably would have swapped in against a Wigglytuff.
Yeah, he would have brought in like a Venomoth or a Venusaur or something.
I was trying to swap into Fortress right before he hit my Wigglytuff with a Body Slam. Does a little bit of damage, but
I guess he was farming a little bit. He was maybe overcharging.
I was talking to Wrangler right after. He said he he undertapped every match.
Yeah.
So
that's huge.
at
With
least 2 bombs.
with Magneton, yeah, that's huge. All right, so Noctowl against Venomoth, expecting an immediate switch. Not a good start for Alf. At this point, Noctowl is a very favorable lead to Venomoth, but we're not getting a switch out. The Body Slam will come out. And we don't go for the shield. Noctowl is able to tank it and has the Sky Attack ready to go, but he goes for the Victory Bell instead. And Victory Bell is doing a ton of damage with these Razor Leaves. It's just the bulk of Victory Bell's damage is always from these Razor Leaves. Now, if it's able to get to that Leaf Blade, it will knock out the Vigoroth, but it really doesn't need it to finish it up. So it will need that shield if it's meant to survive. I'm expecting a shield to come out here from Caleb. Sure enough, the shield comes out. And this is a decent situation for Victory Bell to be in. It finishes up that Vigoroth has Leaf Blade ready to go, has Sludge Bomb almost ready to go, but with the Venomoth in the back, it's very much forced to use that Leaf Blade immediately because it can't tank a Confusion. So the Leaf Blade comes out, and we'll see if Venomoth shields. He doesn't. He'd only be taking not very effective damage from that Sludge Bomb anyway, and it could be an Acid Spray. So calculated move again by Alfendal. So out comes Noctowl. It's going to do a ton of damage, so we're expecting a shield from Venomoth, immediate switch to Lantern, and switch to Wigglytuff. And now we're back to square one. Wigglytuff matchup against Lantern. It's a good matchup for Caleb to be in. Wigglytuff is definitely doing its job. It doesn't want to be caught up against that Venomoth, so goes for the shield. Last shield of the match for Alf, and this is not bad because Play Rough, it's able to get that that Ice Beam, I suppose. And we're expecting a shield to come out from the Lantern, and he doesn't shield, so interesting. Venomoth comes out instead. Alfendal is trying to conserve this Venomoth. Hopefully with a shield he's able to kind of shore up that matchup, but if he doesn't go for the Poison Fang, it's going to be really, really, really tight here. Noctowl coming out, it resists Silver Wind, and it takes neutral from Poison Fang, and it's able to really tank those Poison Fangs fine. It's going to be really, really close there, and it definitely doesn't have 3 Poison Fangs ready to go. So Noctowl is able to finish this up with like a sliver of HP, and that was really, really close. That was probably the only play he had, given that he didn't want to spend that shield, but he probably should have just spent the shield.
Yeah, if he spent the shield, it would have been over for me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So thinking back on it, I mean, that was like really unnecessarily close.
Pretty interesting.
And he died with a shield, right?
Mm-hmm. He did lose with a shield. So yeah, thanks for subscribing on YouTube, Base Mountain, got him, and Protune as well on Twitch. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what happens when we get into this level of strats, is that we start wanting to really like hold on to those shields, and then you lose with a shield ready. You know, like it's
Charm was just chunking it down.
Mm-hmm. And it's resisted too.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Did I miss who did you send a battle to there, Caleb?
I just did. We're going to just match 3.
Okay,
with
perfect.
Alf, and then I'll battle Gotham. I think.
All right.
That'll be mostly.
Perfect.
But even without that shield, that was too close for comfort. I mean, like replaying that match could have yielded different results, slightly different time switches or whatever. Even without that shield on the Lantern, I'm sure he's kicking himself. All right, you guys. Round 3 out of 3 against Alfendal. Very nice lead. Victory Bell versus Vigoroth. Expecting a switch out here. The Vigoroth is kind of wasted against Victory Bell, so out comes Vesuquin. It's got a decent matchup against Victory Bell. So Lantern in response. This is, you'd think Lantern with the electric subtyping would be like a slam dunk against this Vesuquin, and it's going to win, but it definitely is able to. Vespiquen is definitely able to spam those X scissors faster. So it kind of shores up that matchup, and it's not like a bad matchup for Lantern. It's definitely not able to farm. And Water Gun does a lot of neutral damage. Vespiquen definitely doesn't want to be taking any Thunderbolts. So it's just one of those things where it is more even than you think. But if Vespiquen wants to win, it definitely has to use 2 shields before it goes down. Oh, wow. You were just not able to get that Thunderbolt in time. I guess you were a little late to the switch. Had you been that much quicker, you would have been able to get that second Thunderbolt. Okay, so out comes Fortress. Fortress is going to be able to resist these X scissors quite nicely. Had it been a power gem, would have been doing a little bit more damage, but not horrible for the Fortress coming in here. So out comes the power gem. Again, does a decent amount of damage, but Fortress here really just wants to capitalize on the shield advantage. Since it's not necessary to use the shield, might as well just continue without using it. It's risky in some senses, but anyway, out comes Victory Bell in response to this Vigoroth. And now this is an interesting matchup because Victory Bell has about 2/3 HP left, but a lot of energy against the unfavorable matchup, which is Venusaur. And Venusaur is forced to use shields for the Sludge Bomb, and we have a shield advantage here. So we'll see if Victory Bell uses shield, which it does against the Frenzy Plant. Very nice play for Alf. Very predictable at this point that he was going to be using a shield. Expecting a Sludge Bomb here. See if Caleb goes for the second shield. He does have Fortress in the back, which can very easily maneuver the Venusaur, but not so well against Fortress. Or, Vigoroth. So, anyway, out comes the Sludge Bomb. It's going to take out this Venusaur. Razor Leaf is going to do a ton of damage against this Vigoroth, but Vigoroth is basically able to take it out with just a Body Slam, right? So he's done. Our opponent here doesn't really want to risk getting a Leaf Blade here. An Earthquake is just going to do a ton of damage to this Vigoroth. I don't know if it's within killing range, so we're going to have to see. And sure enough, it is. Vigoroth goes down, and he must have been really close to a Body Slam. So that's really close.
He didn't want to risk like a charge move from Victory Bell there. So
yeah.
Had
he finished off the Victory Bell with counter, he would have maybe been able to get the counter, the Body Slam in first. But you coming in with the Fortress, normally you get priority anyway, right? You didn't have the Earthquake fully charged though, right?
Oh, I had a Heavy Slam and like a little bit extra energy.
So he would have been able to take that win with the Body Slam if he hadn't used it against the Victory Bell. But it's so close, and it's like some of these like you talk about counting fast moves, like good luck counting Razor Leaf on Victory Bell or Bug Bite on Fortress. Those are really, really kind of rough, I think. I'm sure King does it.
So getting double baited on the Frenzy Plant also was kind of rough. But Victory Bell's not nearly as tanky either, so of course let me send you Gotham's line.
Cool. I think he posted it in chat as well, but I appreciate you sending it out. So there was someone who said hi to you on YouTube earlier. I forgot the name.
Oh yes, Stanley. I think
you saw that?
I saw his message, but I was playing at the time.
For sure,
yeah,
for
he's a local. Yeah,
that's nice. Always nice to have local friends tune into these kind of streams. And then we do have a person by the name CJ Desmond, I think, who was posting a friend code. So I think on Twitch we have our rules banner, so people on Twitch hopefully knows now that we don't share our friend codes on chat, but we do have a special place in our Discord channel for you to do that. So I'm going to post the link on YouTube as well. So if you haven't joined our Discord yet, click on the link in YouTube that is coming up right now. And you have a dedicated channel for you to add friends, as many as you want for battling. So make use of that resource.
Yeah, D-Master Lance is adding to the discussion. He says Razorleaf isn't too bad to count. I'm envious of you that you can count Razorleaf. He says that Water Gun, Dragon Breath, and Bug Bite are probably the hardest. I can agree to that.
I actually see got him in the holding room, so we can drag him in and have him join the discussions.
Sure.
Hey guys.
Although, if you're playing the matches, it's kind of difficult. Do you want to like go headset off during the matches and then jump in between matches to just break it down?
Sure.
Yeah,
let's do that.
Okay. Cool. Cool. We'll just go back and forth. Cool.
Learn from these matches is I do not like using Wig. It's just not my kind of playstyle. At least not for jungle.
All right, so Noctowl versus Fortress, good lead on Caleb's part. The Sky Attacks are going to do just a ton of damage against Fortress. Heavy Slam is going to do a decent amount, so it's not the worst spot for Fortress to be in. But we do expect to switch out at some point to shore up this matchup, hopefully. So I guess he just was a little late to that switch. Maybe he wanted to tank the Sky Attack and just come in with Vigoroth on a lower HP Noctowl. So out comes the Body Slam. Noctowl goes for the shield. He's got a Sky Attack ready to go. Out comes, we'll see. We'll see whether it's Vespiquen or Victory Bell. And Vespiquen, very tanky bug type, is able to take those Body Slams quite nicely. Really doesn't have to worry about shields, and Bug Bite is going to be doing the heavy lifting here. X-Scissor is going to be doing a lot of damage too. At some point, Vespiquen to survive will have to use those shields, for the body slam, but Vigoroth also has to shield these X-Scissors if it's wanting to hold on. So, Vigoroth being a really excellent safe switch in general, but you do kind of force shields on it with a Vespiquen. So we're able to get that X-Scissor out, and he switches just in time back to the Fortress. Those matchups, because they take so long, he was able to get it out just in time and take out our Vespiquen. So that was a very, very skillful play on Gotham's side. Sky Attack is going to do a ton of damage to this Fortress, and Heavy Slam is within killing range, so farming is going to be risky here because we don't want to get that Heavy Slam. We don't want to waste a shield against this Fortress. And Fortress uses up the shield. We go for 2 Sky Attacks. And yeah, this is interesting now. Noctowl had a lot of energy. I suspect he had a what's it called? A Heavy Slam pretty much ready to go. And Venusaur here, he used 2 shields. If it's a Sludge Bomb, it's going to be rough. And he goes for the shield, accurately predicts the Sludge Bomb. A Sludge Bomb from part of Victory Belt is going to do a ton of damage against this Venusaur. And those Vine Whips are charging energy very, very fast. So those it could be a Sludge Bomb coming in very quickly. So he's able to nuke that Venusaur. Out comes Vigoroth with a Body Slam ready to go. Those Razor Leafs are going to do a ton of damage if it survives this Body Slam, and it does. So at this point, we're just relegated to Razor Leafs, and GG. Match goes to Caleb. Favorable lead, but that was a very, very nice switch on his behalf. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be a Venusaur that he's switching into Noctowl. So I thought it was going to be a Lantern or something.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Master Lance. Curious about whether you watch the actual attack animations when you try to count, or the Pokemon itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
You go first because you're probably better at it than I am.
I'm okay. I'm mostly actually what I watch is the charge bar on the moves, and so that's a usually good indicator because if I like lose count at some points, I know that at certain portions, something's
That's pretty interesting.
like it's going to be something else. Yeah.
Yeah, watching the charge bar definitely. But I'm talking about counting the opponents moves.
As well.
Or
Yeah.
the opponent's move.
And I'm suspecting that that's what D Master Lance is talking about.
That could be a thing. Yeah, D Master Lance. Do you want to clarify? Were you talking about the opponent's fast attacks or FA? Because we're all learning new terms, right, AJ?
FA, yeah.
Yeah.
You count the FAs.
You count the FAs.
F stands for other things in English culture. So, all right. So out comes the Leaf Blade in response to this Vigoroth. He goes for the shield. It's very close to within killing range. So Body Slam comes out. Response to the shield. Last shield of the match for Caleb, and Razor Leaf's just going to do a ton of damage if he's able to get that Leaf Blade just in time before the Body Slam. We'll see if Gotham goes for the shield in an effort to save his Vigoroth, and he doesn't. He's got basically a sliver of HP, so wasn't fully expecting that. So Wigglytuff comes out, is just holding on for dear life, taking a ton of damage from those Razor Leafs, and then Noctowl is able to finish it up. At this point, we're not in a bad spot. Psychic does a ton of damage. We'll see if Gotham goes for the shield. Missing, it seemed like he missed a ton of...
It was a shield anyway.
I was sorry.
Didn't matter.
Shield coming.
Yeah. So, well, if you saw the shield coming, then you would have used the sky attack. So that excuse is not valid.
That is true.
Let's see if we can get some redemption here. Getting all those bubbles in, very
excellent.
nice, excellent. Seems like you have like a slightly different technique than what I do. Mine's a little bit more spammy, and so sometimes I end up missing them. So out comes Vigoroth versus Vespiquen. Yikes! This Thunderball is gonna. This is brace for impact, you guys. Heads down.
Ooh.
Head between your knees. All right, X Scissor's gonna come out.
No
it's gonna do a ton of damage, but not.
We're tapped again.
Not in time for the second Thunderbolt, sealing the deal for that Lantern.
Would have an X Scissor been enough, maybe?
It would have been really close.
It would have been close.
I don't think
it would have been enough. Yeah, I think I would need like 3 or 4 more bug bites.
Ah, man. GG's. So D Master Lance has clarified that it is to count the opponent's fast moves. What would be a better way? Because you don't get to see the energy bar.
Oh, yeah. Mostly I'm thinking in terms of jungle just because since I've been through, it's easier to count like opposing Vigoroth counters sometimes just because it depends on who switches in first, right? Usually if they switch in, you can see kind of how many more they're ahead of you or vice versa. So I would say it is pretty hard to count your own charge moves and your own and
keeping track of both, right?
Yeah.
What's the appeal of counting yours if you already know?
To undertap.
Yeah, potentially for undertapping. For me, sometimes I use it to string together 2 charge moves. So I've been trying to do that on Noctowl. Vigoroth obviously, but Noctowl especially too, just because now that piggybacking traditionally is gone, but you can still self-piggyback. Yeah.
I think it's more advantageous to get down pat counting your opponent's charge moves and just having a feel for when.
Let your instincts do the work.
Well, like for example, like I don't really need to count Vigoroth because I can just look at Bulldoze. I see Bulldoze is charged up, and I know I have 2 body slams, for example.
That's a good point.
And there's a few other examples. I know, like based on how much charge Earthquake has, how much I have overcharged Heavy Slam on Fortress. or even Thunderbolt with Hydro Pump. And you don't want to overcharge Hydro Pump too much because then you get into territory of just not getting any energy, because once you go past 100, you're not getting anything there. So Victory Bell paired up against Fortress. Fortress goes for the switch and Vigoroth in response. Those Heavy Slams are going to do a ton of damage. If he goes for the Earthquake, it does a ton of damage. So we'll see if Gotham goes for the shield, and he doesn't. So that that Earthquake would have been the riskier play there, but it definitely would have finished up that Vigoroth. So anyway, we're expecting a Body Slam. Out comes the Body Slam. We go for the shield, even though Fortress resists it. We're gonna get these barrages of Body Slams coming out just from all the energy that Vigoroth is able to gain. So anyway, counter's doing a ton of damage here. Heavy Slam comes out, expecting a shield from them. Oh wow, he's able to get that Body Slam in the last second. So, and you go for the shield. He finished it up with just Bug Bites, but now we're 2 shields down. Fortress is almost knocked out, goes for the Earthquake, and we'll see if our opponent shields. Earthquake is going to do a ton of damage if it goes unshielded. And he does. He shields. This is interesting. This is very interesting. He doesn't shield, rather. Yeah, that's what I meant. So anyway, Vespiquen, 2 shields down. Is really relying on those Bug Bites because X-Scissor is just not doing all that much. The good news is that with Lantern in the back and Victory Bell, we are in a situation where he might win this match with shields down. So we'll see. It's going to be really close because that Thunderbolt is going to do a ton of damage. Victory Bell is not going to go. Victory Bell is not going to go for any charge moves at this point. Oh, he is. Okay, interesting. I would have suspected a
just going down with the
just going for the Razor Leafs, yeah. But well, it's going to be really, 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 really tight here because that Heavy Slam is going to come out, and yeah, so very interesting. Yeah, he basically went down with 2 shields because that Sludge Bomb was doing nothing.
We have a question from Protune Pav. I would have thought Rock Tomb would have been a better move for Fortress.
Oh man, if you had been here a few weeks ago, you would have been part of the heated debate. Here's the thing. Before Wigglytuff, I think there was a bigger debate over it. Oh, can we bring Gotham in here?
Oh yeah, let me pull him in.
Yeah.
Welcome, Gotham.
Hey, what's up?
Hey man, that was down to the wire.
The games.
Yeah, he caught me with that Victory Bell Sludge Bomb. I was expecting Acid Spray and lost my Venusaur in that first battle for that.
Yeah. Yeah, but we were commenting on your swap out Fortress being able to... I forget the matchup specifically, but you went for the switch, and then the matchup took so long that you went for another switch, and you were able to tank the charge move, and it was just a beautiful play to watch. Yeah. We had a question in the chat, and I don't know if you were in the streams a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Rock Tomb as a moveset for Fortress. Well, what do you think? Heavy Slam and Earthquake is preferred, right?
Yeah, I think it's definitely preferred. I just think that Noctowl's usage has just gone down so far that the argument for Rock Tomb has kind of disappeared, and Heavy Slam just hits everything pretty neutrally. And if you don't have to shield bait to go for the Earthquake, so yeah, I would think that's probably the best right there.
And the Bug Flyers have gone down too, with the exception of Vespiquen, which doesn't really function so much as a Bug Flyer.
Exactly.
It functions more as a bug type that counters, like Grass and Vigoroth. Back when like Masquerain and Yanmega and Scyther were like more heavily considered, Rock Tomb was an interesting play. The bottom line is this: Heavy Slam takes up less energy. Earthquake is a must if you want to catch a Lantern shields down. and it is also a must, honestly, against like the situations where you just want to nuke a Vigoroth shields down as well. And Heavy Slam already does a lot of good heavy lifting against Noctowl, and you're not going to win that matchup anyway most of the time. So
Exactly.
I think that's really why you're seeing almost no Rock Tombs anymore.
I think pre-Charm, you have a better argument for Rock Tomb, but post-Charm and Wigglytuff, you pretty much need Heavy Slam.
Yeah, and with Beedrill, I mean, you don't need Rock Tomb against Beedrill. Heavy Slam is fine. Earthquake, you don't need it. You know, it's just going to do it. It's more energy. So, I believe Aerial Ace Beedrill does a little bit better against the Heavy Slam Fortress set, but I think it still loses. Or Purchase is just a beast.
So I think we're gonna start closing out in a little bit. I think Caleb has to go soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you good? You good, Caleb?
Yeah, this was a
Cool.
lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And you just gave me a good lesson on how to deal with storage over there. 30 Pokemon's deleted just like that. I wish I could do that. But again, super thanks to Caleb for joining us tonight to do the battles for Friday Night Fights. So yeah, you can head out if you need to. We'll do some, Patreon and closing out stuff.
For sure.
And thanks,
Yeah.
Godwin, for that last battle as well. So we have a question here from Debbie Pebble asking, why no affiliate? Why no affiliate for Twitch? We are affiliate for Twitch, which is why that if you're interested in our emotes, you can definitely hit that subscribe button and have access to 5 emotes because of a lot of cool people who helped us reach our subscriber goals in the past month. And then ProTune is happy for the explanation for Rock Tomb. So let us switch over to our Patreon page. And once again, thank all the people who support us, letting us upgrade our equipments and keep the GoStadium.com website going. If you guys are not aware, GoStadium.club/IV. Basically, you can find a IV checker website or our bots if you're interested in checking the IVs in terms of the PvP sense to get a highest stat total. That is a big tool that we are using and constantly trying to improve. And Debbie Pebble dropping us with 10 bits at the end as well. So yeah, tomorrow we're going to have a very special stream, by the way. We are going to be live streaming the Maryland All-State Tournament. I will be there. Carrying the streaming equipments up to Baltimore, featuring some pretty top players. Bella Baolam, who I think has not done any jungle tournament yet, so he's weighted. We have Economical, who I think you've seen during the Philly stream do really well. Top player there, and a couple of other challengers, and I'll try and make a good showing myself. We'll have Tristan and Alfindol commentate that, so join us if you can. The stream will start Eastern time at 12 p.m. So right at noon we'll go live, and the tournament should start very soon after. Any other updates from your side, AJ, in terms of the
we are rolling out with a few more podcast content. We've done a couple now. There's a couple things before we can really officially launch those. But the good news is once all of those check boxes are taken care of, we'll have plenty of audio. So a lot of these are short, 15 minutes. Some of them are 40 minutes. And it's all revolving around a discussion. It's more laid back. We're not as worried about getting demonetized or anything like that. So I'll just leave it at that. It's a fun little project.
Some of these podcasts we might put it on YouTube if it's PG.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them we'll have we'll put it either on iTunes or SoundCloud. We'll have a link for those once we upload the podcast. So be on the lookout for an announcement for that when it's ready.
Awesome.
Perfect. Spotify, yes, that's probably a good one too. So I'm going to pull up and take a look at who else is streaming Pokemon Go this evening.
Yeah, while you're pulling that up, some other things in the works. We're really close to having like a full breakdown of Boulder post all the updates. So like for the Mirror Cup, we'll have a analysis for Twilight, and those will be the two that we're focusing on, because as far as infographics go, regionals is not really worth the time. The way we do these infographics, we try to be really thorough. We try to focus on the top meta, and a lot of the meta in metas like regional focus on just choosing things that your opponents aren't prepared for, and there's just such a wide range of good choices out there. So not wanting to have an incomplete infographic, we decide it's best to forego it. So we might have some other analysis through streams and other such ventures, but it won't be in the form of an infographic.
All right. Well, I think we are ready to close out stream. I found a streamer who is doing some shiny hunting. No one is doing any PvP right now. So let's go give Ming of Ven a raid. And appreciate you guys chilling with us tonight. And hopefully you'll join us for our stream tomorrow, where we cover the Jungle Cup out in Maryland, All-State. Have a good night, everyone.